What's up guys, Z here, and today we are taking a look at the Impale Shadow's Mantle build. So let's hop over to my armory. We'll look at number 3 slot, look at the details, and here is the full gear Kanai cube powers and also the skills. So let's start with Kanai's cube. We are still using Dawn for the reduction in the cooldown for Vengeance by 65%. I am using Leoric's Crown, which doubles the effect of the gem that is in my headpiece, which in this case is a flawless royal diamond. And I'm using the elusive ring, so after I cast Shadow Power, Smokescreen, or Vault, I take 60% reduced damage for 8 seconds. For the left click, I am using Impale with Ricochet. It costs 20 Hatred, throws a knife that impales an enemy for 750% weapon damage as lightning, and then it will ricochet to 2 additional nearby enemies within 20 yards of each other. I am using Companion with Boar Companion. You can use the Wolf Companion for the damage boost, but I'm using it for toughness boost, because the Boar will increase me and my party's life regen and resistances to all elements. So that's my choice. And also the active will help you stay alive by taunting the enemies. Next is Vengeance with the Dark Heart rune, and this does all the normal Vengeance things, as well as reduces all my damage taken by 50%. Next I have the Fan of Knives using the Bladed Armor rune. This will throw out the knives, which I don't care about. I'm not using it for damage, but it does help proc slowness for the enemies, and also it gives me 40% additional armor for 6 seconds, which is the key to why I actually have it in my rotation. Next is Vault with the Rattling Roll rune. So for this one I used Rattling Roll so I can stun enemies and they're knocked out of my way. The stun procs other passives, so that is why I chose that particular skill with that rune. Lastly, I have Shadow Power with Gloom, and this will give me life per hit, and also it will reduce the damage I take by 35% while it's active. And it never goes off because Shadow's Mantle lets it stay on permanently. For my passives, I have my Cheat Death. I have Ambush, so I deal more damage when enemies are at full to 3/4 health. I have Cull of the Weak to increase damage to slow or chilled enemies, which a lot of enemies are slowed all the time, so it's free damage. Then I have, lastly, Numbing Traps. Any enemies I slow, chill, or hit with Fan of Knives, Spike Trap, Caltrops, Grenades, and Sentry Fire have their damage reduced by 25% for 5 seconds. This is also to keep me alive. Now let's go from the head down. 2-set bonus for Shadow's Mantle. While equipped with a melee weapon, your damage is increased by 1200%. And you can see I have a dagger. Shadow Power gains the effect of every rune and lasts forever with the 4-set bonus. And finally, the 6-set bonus, Impale deals an additional 40,000% weapon damage to the first enemy hit. So Impale is going to hit enormously heavy on the first enemy it hits. Not going to buff any of the other hits besides the 1200% off of the melee weapon boost, but still. Also, I have the diamond in there for the cooldown reduction that is also doubled, like I mentioned, by Leoric's Crown. Moving to the shoulders, it is one of the only ancients I have on me right now. Nothing really special. The neck piece is part of the Endless Walk, so I get damage reduction when I am moving and damage increased when I am standing still. I also have the Goguk of Swiftness legendary gem in there. With every attack, I increase my attack speed by 1% and dodge by a dynamic amount based off of the rank of the gem. For 4 seconds, this effect stacks up to 15 times, and also I gain 1% cooldown reduction per stack of Swiftness as well. This helps me get my cooldown really, really high, in addition to the double diamond cooldown reduction. For the chest, I'm using the Shadow's Bane. Nothing special again. It's one of the ancients I have. For the gloves, I am using the Shadow's Grasp. Again, I rolled for just crit hit damage and crit hit chance. That's pretty much all I could do for that. Moving over to my wrists, I have the Ancient Parthan Defenders. Each enemy stunned within 25 yards reduces my damage taken by 9 to 12%. I got a 10% out of it. This is why I have my Vault with Rattling Roll. This helps me reduce damage, and it doesn't say it has a cap on the reduction, like how many people can be stunned at once. I mean, it's only a second and a half, but you're doing a lot of vaulting, partially due to the belt. which after I use Impale, Vault costs no resource for 2 seconds. So when I do Impale, I can zip around a group of mobs that I'm taking out, especially elite packs, since that's what I focus on, and I have to zip around them. As you'll see in the video that's playing of me running a rift, it's a lot of mobility. You're stabbing people and you're running. You're stabbing people and running. You keep popping your fan of knives and your vengeance as soon as they come back up. Moving along to my ring, I have the second part of Endless Walk with Bane of the Powerful in there. This gives me a damage buff for a certain amount of time after I kill an elite pack, and also it gives me a static 15% increased damage versus elites and 15% damage reduction from elites, which is very, very handy. And in the other ring slot, I have the Convention of Elements, which will give me that boost to the lightning rotation after it goes through the rest. Of 196%, it can be up to 200. It rolls from 150 to 200%. And I have Bane of the Trapped in there, which is pretty much a Demon Hunter staple as far as any of the builds I've ever made. It increases my damage against enemies that are slowed or any kind of control impairing effects by a certain amount, and I gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. For the pants, the Shadow's Coil, nothing special. The boots, Shadow's Heels, also nothing special. For the quiver, I have Holy Point Shot. This is imperative to this build. It will throw 2 additional knives with Impale, so instead of 1 knife, I throw out 3. So that's really, really good, especially coupled with Ricochet, because each knife throws out 2 additional. This will help, basically what you could say is tag a whole mob, because it feeds off of Carlisle's Point Dagger's ability. Impale returns 10 to 15 hatred, and I got it for 14, if it hits an enemy already impaled. So if I hit an enemy, it costs me the 20 hatred by default to use that skill Impale once. If the enemy does not die and I hit them one more time, I am refunded 14 hatred from that same enemy. So imagine if I hit 20 enemies in a mob and they're not going down really fast because it's a hard greater rift or something. If I keep spamming my Impale on that party, I can Impale indefinitely because I'm getting back so much hatred from hitting them all since they've already been tagged by Impale before. So this and Holy Point Shot and Ricochet really all play into each other quite heavily. So looking at the Paragons, I do the same thing as always with movement speed. I max it out and then I go primary full tilt. Offense, I did cooldown reduction first. Now, a lot of people that do the Impale builds want maximum attack speed, and I know how that has a merit because it's not like a real massive screen clearing ability like multi-shot is, but I decided to go with critical hit chance, and then I'll do critical hit damage, and then I will do attack speed. It doesn't really matter what you put your Paragon points in. It's kind of up to the user. If you feel like you are lacking in one area, then go ahead and put the points in where you feel is necessary. So for defense, I did resist all. I always do resist all first, no matter what the build is. And then I did life, and then I'm doing armor right now, and then I will do life regeneration last. And for utility, I did resource cost reduction first, as Impale was going through quite quickly my resource before I was fully built up on it. And then I put it into area damage, and now I am in life per hit. And then lastly, I will do gold find. So how does it work? Basically, I literally will just sit here and click the keyboards 1 and 2 for these abilities, so I don't have to even think about them when they come back up. So Vengeance will give me that damage reduction of 50%. It'll give me a damage boost and a couple little extra things. Fan of Knives of the Bladed Armor will give me that armor buff. And then for my 4th slot, I have my Shadow Power, which I activate it once and it stays on. It makes me run quickly. It lets me suck up a lot of life from enemies. It's really handy. It keeps my damage reduction going. And then I have my Vault with Rattle Roll, which I will typically come up to enemies, shoot a couple times, and then roll through them, shoot a couple times, roll through, you know what I'm saying? Just rinse and repeat. It's not too difficult. It's a pretty quick moving build, but not overly difficult. And then as far as my right click, whenever I come up to a big party of enemies, I right click my companion's active, which he will taunt the enemies, which keeps me alive a lot easier. And then for my potion, I never actually show anybody what I'm using for my potion, but I just did increasing healing from all sources with the bottomless potion of amplification, because with this build specifically, the shadow power will make my life gain very, very high on life per hit. So it really it'll amplify that ability and keep me alive a lot easier. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the build. Try it out for yourself if you're interested this season. It's a good season. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to more fun with the Necromancer as they bring it back to the beta. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.